After losing his family, a New York City detective, Nick goes to Asia, teams up with a Thai detective to destroy and get revenge from a human trafficking network. Is he able to succeed in his mission? Let's figure it out. Hi, welcome back to the Explanation Pro. Today I'll recap an action film called Skin Trade from 2014. Spoilers incoming. We find a young girl escaping from home in Cambodia. She takes a bus and leaves for a different city. When she arrives, there's a man waiting for her. It seems that the man belongs to a talent show of some kind. She takes the girl with him on a truck. The girl drinks a soda drink, but it seems that it contains some kind of drug. She feels dizzy and faints. Then she's dragged to a warehouse and tied to a bed. Understandably, the girl cries and does her best to escape, but to no avail. She's drugged one more time and one of the men orders to put her in the shipment. Now we are in New Jersey. A man is escaping from a police detective named Nick KiIIed. The criminal believes he escaped, but KiIIed surprises him from behind. Meanwhile, we find a man in Bangkok buying a woman in an office. Out of nowhere, a guard places a gun on the buyer's head. The seller explains that they need to make sure that the buyer is the person he says he is. They want the man to assault the woman right now. Meanwhile, KiIIed is taking information out of the man he caught. KiIIed is looking for Viktor Dragovic, a Serbian mobster behind human trafficking. The criminal confesses that Viktor is in New Jersey waiting for a shipment. Back in Bangkok, the buyer is taking out his belt to assault the woman. Fortunately, he just took it out to use the belt as a whip and take every guard down. It turns out he was just an undercover cop. Then, he grabs the mob boss and threatens to drop him out of the window if he doesn't talk. The mobster confesses there'll be a human trafficking shipping in New Jersey. Then the cop drops the man anyway. The cop gives money to the woman and sets her free. Then we find Dragovic, the mobster who is in the human trafficking business, having dinner with his sons. However, the waiter has a camera on his coat, and the police department is spying on them. Then KiIIed meets Reed, an FBI agent who will be working with him and the police department. The police officers head to the New Jersey docks at night, to intercept the ship and rescue the girls. The youngest of Dragovic's sons is nervous. This is his very first operation, and he needs to learn about the business to continue the family legacy. The police are watching their every move and sneaking into the docks. When Dragovic's men open the doors, we realize there's something wrong. We see Dragovic's youngest son clearly repulsed by what he saw, and we can hear flies buzzing. Dragovic also holds his mouth to prevent vomiting. What's inside the container? The mobsters grab the captain and take him to a room for interrogation. The captain explains the mistake is not his fault, and instead, says that it was Janko's fault. Janko is also Dragovic's son, and we saw him at the beginning of the movie, drugging the young girl. Dragovic then handles a gun to his youngest son and orders him to kill the captain. However, it's clear that the son doesn't want to take the man's life. So, Dragovic ends up shooting the captain himself. Seconds later, the police break in, throwing smoke grenades and ordering the mobsters to surrender. There are shots everywhere, and many mobsters die. Dragovic takes his son and escapes, hiding between the containers. Dragovic and the police finally meet. They try to shoot each other down. Dragovic runs out of ammo and begs his son to leave and survive, but the son wants to prove himself to his father, so he rushes to kill the policeman. Needless to say, KiIIed acts faster and kills the son. Dragovic is heartbroken. KiIIed approaches him, and the mobster orders him to end his life. KiIIed hesitates. After all, Dragovic is unarmed. So, he ends up arresting Dragovic instead. Then we discover that the shipment was carrying a dozen of young girls. The officers are interrogating Dragovic. However, he's being defended by his attorney and the Russian counsel, since Dragovic is a Russian citizen. Dragovic stares KiIIed in the eye and tells him that he should have killed him at the docks. Now we switch to Thailand. We find the undercover officer at a bar. Then, one of the waitresses passes near Janko's office. She hears what's happening through the door. Janko is being scolded by his brothers. He receives the news about his youngest brother's death, and that his father is in prison. The brothers threaten him not to ruin it the next time. They also state that they will take care of their brother's killer. The waitress passes into the office. One of the men says that she's been selected to be part of an adult film. They take her to a room to shoot the movie. So, the woman sends a message with her phone asking for help, then throws it through the toilet. She gets to the bed, and three men start touching and grabbing her. Luckily, the undercover officer breaks in and takes every man down, then rescues the girl. There we discover the cop's name is Tony, and that the woman, whose name's Min, works undercover for the police as well, providing information. The woman explains to Tony what she heard when spying through the door. Back in New Jersey, KiIIed returns home. He meets Sophia, his daughter. She's practicing for a play she'll have on Friday. Then, KiIIed is with his wife. He remembers today's their anniversary, and he apologizes for forgetting about it. Later that night, Cassidy receives a phone call. He gets out of bed and sees through the window. He notices two men getting out of a van and aiming at their window with a rocket launcher. They shoot the rocket and Cassidy's room explodes. His wife is killed in front of Cassidy. Sophia appears to see what's happening, and the men find her. One man shoots Cassidy in the back twice. Cassidy hears how they kill Sophia as well. Hours later, Cassidy wakes up at the hospital. Reed and the captain pay a visit to him. They tell Cassidy that his wife and daughter are dead and that the fire consumed their bodies. Also, they explain that Dragovic was granted bail and left the country. Later that night, Cassidy escapes the hospital. He takes a taxi and drives home. He finds it destroyed by the fire. He then picks a picture of his family he found on the floor. Finally, Cassidy decides to take action. He takes out a hidden case that contains a shotgun and 2 pistols. What will he do with them? Cassidy heads to a restaurant. There, he shoots the Russian consul, then orders Dragovic's attorney to tell about the mob's whereabouts. The attorney confesses Dragovic fled to Poipe, Cambodia, to a bar called Baby Doll, the one we saw some moments ago. Cassidy shoots the attorney and kills him. He also blows the entire restaurant. In the meantime, Dragovic is talking with a senator. The senator explains to him that he needs to leave Cambodia immediately, otherwise, the US authorities could arrest him. Of course, Dragovic blackmails the senator with some polemic pictures. The senator has no other choice but to let Dragovic stay for 2 more weeks. Then we see Min again, who's taking care of her garden. Tony pays a visit to her. There, Mina tells that she was only 12 years old when she was sold by her mother. She sold her for $700. Needless to say, that hurts Tony, who's compassionate about his girlfriend's suffering. Tony then meets a friend of his. He gets into a car and meets Reed, the FBI agent. Reed explains that Cassidy has killed everyone at the attorney's restaurant and that he has landed in Thailand after buying a fake American passport. They believe he's having a mental breakdown of some kind, so they need to arrest him. Tony and Reed head to the airport to catch Cassidy. Cassidy realizes he's being chased after, so he escapes. They finally make it to the parking lot. There, Reed grabs Tony's partner and kills him with a shot. Then, Reed shoots himself in the stomach, but the bulletproof jacket cushions the damage. Lastly, Reed gives a gun to Cassidy. When Tony appears, he discovers his partner is dead. Reed says that Cassidy killed him. Reed supposedly survives thanks to the bulletproof jacket, but we know it's a lie. Tony gets mad and goes after Cassidy. There's a long persecution throughout Thailand streets. Both men tried to shoot each other down to no avail. Cassidy escapes on a motorbike until he reaches a dead-end alley. Tony is beside himself with rage and runs toward Cassidy. Tony takes him down, but Cassidy escapes in a car, leaving Tony behind. That night, Cassidy heads to the Baby Doll bar. Min sees him and gives a call to Tony to inform him about it. Cassidy makes it to Yanko's office. Cassidy grabs the man by the neck and asks for Yanko's location. Cassidy stabs the man's leg with a sharp metal bar and threatens to kill him. The man confesses that Yanko's at the warehouse, where they keep their merchandise, young girls. The two of them fight and Cassidy stabs the sharp object in the man's neck. At that moment, Tony and Reed make it to the bar. Tony finds Cassidy and goes after him once again. The 2 police officers finally meet face to face. Tony wants to avenge his partner's death, but Cassidy says he didn't kill the cop, that he's just after Dragovic's son. They end up fist fighting until Cassidy reaches a gun. He points it to Tony, but Cassidy never shoots. He ends up escaping after that. Reed appears and finds Tony. He seems to be depressed. Reed helps him stand up, but he sneaks the telephone away from Tony's pocket. So, Reed heads to Yanko's office to check the tapes. He uses the phone to track Tony's helper. Thanks to the call history and the security cameras, Reed finds Mia. He then calls Dragovic's son and provides the information to him, saying that Mia is the woman leaking information to the police. It seems that Reed has been working for Dragovic all this time. Then, Tony discovers a hidden camera at Yanko's office. There, he watches the moment when Yanko's man confesses to Cassidy about Yanko's whereabouts. So, Tony knows that he needs to head there. Cassidy makes it to the warehouse. He discovers a cage keeping a lot of young girls as prisoners. Cassidy orders them to keep silent, but some guards realize the women are making too much noise. One of these guards enters the room and tries to assault one of the girls. So, Cassidy jumps toward him and takes both guards down. Janko and his men hear the shots, so they rush to the scene of action. One by one, Cassidy kills the guards. He then finds another cage that contains a dozen of young girls. Tony and Reed make it to the warehouse too. They see Janko trying to escape with his brothers, but the brothers got tired of his wrong decisions ruining the business, so they take him down. Cassidy finds Janko lying on the floor and asks for Dragovic's location. Tony appears from behind and points a shotgun at Cassidy's head. Cassidy insists that he didn't kill Tony's friend, that Reed did. Reed then shoots at Tony, but Cassidy saves his life. Tony goes after Reed and beats the traitor down. With his last breath, Janko confesses his father is in Chiang Chau, the Cambodian border. Lastly, Tony takes his gun and shoots a fatal blow at Reed. Then, Tony and Cassidy release every girl. The two police officers drive to Chiang Chau. While Tony is healing Cassidy's wound, he confesses he will be helping him because Dragovic's men got Mia, his girlfriend. Meanwhile, Thailand cops are revising the reports of some missing girls taken for human trafficking. There we discover that one belongs to Sophia, Cassidy's daughter. This means that Sophia is probably alive, but Cassidy's unaware of that. Back to Dragovic, we find him talking to Mia, then heading to the helicopter to leave the place. One of Dragovic's men is about to put a bullet in Mia's head, but Tony appears and kills the man. Cassidy grabs a rocket launcher and shoots the missile. One of the cars explodes. Now, a massacre begins. Cassidy shoots every guard down while Dragovic takes cover. There, Dragovic tells his grandchildren to escape, but he also tells the older ones to look back while escaping. He wants his grandson to remember the face of those who have caused the damage to the family so that one day they can take revenge when they grow up. One of Dragovic's sons grabs Mia, so Tony has to surrender. Luckily, Mia is faster and takes the gun out of the man. Tony fights with him and kills him with a kick to the man's head. Dragovic makes it to a helicopter and escapes. However, the helicopter's pilot is shot by Cassidy and the vehicle crashes. Cassidy finds Dragovic still alive, and both get into a dirty fight. Dragovic stabs a knife into Cassidy's stomach. There, Dragovic says that Sophia was sold as a fine piece of merchandise. Cassidy takes the knife out and stabs it back into Dragovic. Cassidy discovers his daughter's still alive, so he wants to know where she is. However, Dragovic laughs and dies without spitting a single word. Then Cassidy faints, so Tony rushes toward him. Sadly, the helicopter explodes, and the fire grabs the two men. Did they manage to escape? 4 weeks later, we discover Tony, Mia, and Cassidy are still alive. Cassidy says he will do whatever it takes to find and rescue his daughter, then says goodbye to Tony and Mia. Cassidy takes a bus and heads somewhere. He's willing to face hell or high water to get her daughter back. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and also subscribe to my channel for more videos like this. See you in the next video.